got another super chat. This one from Quentin Ruiz. Thank you for the super chat, Quentin Ruiz. Greatly appreciate you. Quentin writes, I thought Foster couldn't come back because he was put on IR before the deadline. So, no. If you place a player on IR before the deadline, you can have them come back by after week 3. It's if you put a player on IR prior to that, they can't come back. So, or after that, excuse me, they can't come back. Once you put a player on IR after the season starts, then they're done. But you have a window right now where you can bring a guy back after you put him on IR. And so you're seeing teams go ahead and put players on IR and try to hold on to some of these guys. So I think you're going to see a situation where these guys, and let me just check to make sure, because it's been really confusing, some of this. I think the deadline is tomorrow at 4 o'clock. Let me fact check all of that. I don't want to put false information out. So let's take a look at this right quick, and take a look at the injury reserve list rules for 2020, because I think it's really convoluted. It's really interesting to see how some teams will try to utilize this. Let's see. Says the first thing to know that the injury reserve breaks into 2 phases. The first one handles any player placed on the list before roster cut down deadline at 4 p.m. on Saturday, which is today. Those players have their season end, plain and simple. Okay, so Reuben Foster, season is done. So there it is. So you're absolutely right, Quentin. Anybody put on injured reserve before this deadline today. So Rivera talked about the deadline tomorrow. I think they have another deadline tomorrow that you can put players on IR and they can come back, like a Sadiq Charles, for instance. So Reuben Foster, done for the season. He's on IR. He's not where they want him to be. So now the question becomes, what are they going to do with him next year? Are they going to sign him back on a 1-year deal? So there's a whole bunch of different questions to ask there. But Reuben Foster put on IR, which means his season is done. He will not play for this team this year. And frankly, he may not play for this team ever because, again, he's a free agent at the end of the season. So thank you for that clarification, Quentin Ruiz. You put on IR before 4 o'clock today, which Reuben Foster was. Your season is done. If you're put on IR before 4 o'clock tomorrow, then you can come back. So there's a discussion about Sadiq Charles potentially going on that list and not counting towards the 53 and maybe opening up a spot for someone else potentially. But we'll see what happens if they decide to go that route with any of the other players. But they put Mike Ledke on that IR list as well. There were several other players that they put on that IR list for 2020 that aren't going to be able to play this season. And Reuben Foster was among that group, so he will not be on this football team this year. Once again, Quentin Ruiz, thank you for clarifying that. Reuben Foster will not be available for this team this season as he was placed on IR before the 4 p.m. deadline and the 53-man rosters were crystallized. So thank you for that, Quentin Ruiz. Got another super chat. This one is from Derek JB. Thank you for the super chat, Derek JB, who writes, they are signing Foster next year. You would assume that's the case. If you weren't going to sign him next year, what's the point of putting him on IR? You just cut him because you have no future plans with him. So the assumption is he gets a 1-year prove-it deal next year in the offseason, a 1-year, $3.5 million deal. 2.5 of it is incentive laden, and the $1 million that's still left is guaranteed money and base salary type of money. So, that's the way that probably works itself out. But we'll see what happens. I assume that they're going to bring him back because, again, why put him on IR and keep him here if you're not going to try to work something out with him at season's end? That doesn't make any sense. So I assume that you're right there, that they'll probably keep him next season.
LouieTeeNetwork.